Actually, the best brewery tour I've ever had was at Lakefront Brewing. It was just very like
Okay.
approachable, very human, very understandable. This was before I knew anything about brewing. I went to Anheuser-Busch when I lived in St. Louis. I've been to the Coors Brewery, and it's all kind of that script, but I never really understood it until I went to Lakefront Brewing. So that always stands out to me. Those are kind of some top ones out here for me.
So what did they do so that was so unique there at that brewery?
As far as the tour,
Yeah.
it wasn't the owner, but it was like one of the co-owners or the president who was giving the tour himself.
Interesting. Okay.
He was just there, and it was just the way that he distilled the information down. I hadn't really taken a craft brewery tour before. Again, I'd just gone to those kind of big macro tours, which is all very scripted, and we mash
Just trying
in
to get you
and we do
through.
this and we run right. But just hearing him kind of explain the actual process was really illuminating to me. There were kind of some parts that I understood from these macro tours, but some parts that I was curious about. And just I didn't even have to ask or anything. It was just kind of part of the tour
Hmm.
that he really dove into the specifics around hopping and mashing, lautering, and all these light bulbs went on in my head kind of thing. So
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
always stuck out to me. And I let him know when I met the other owner recently. I was like, "It's one of the best damn brewery tours I've ever had." So I appreciate that.
So yeah, mine was Holland and actually in Asheville. And what stuck out to me the most is they actually had a tray of the hops you could pick up and smell.
Yeah.
They had the grains you could actually pick up and taste, so you knew what that was. This is before I started even home brewing, and I didn't realize, the subtle differences in the different grains. And my favorite beer from them is the Gaelic Ale. It's just a really unique, and it's a beer I have to have on tap. Like if I had it in a can or bottle, it's okay, but on tap, it's just something about it just tastes so much better. And that tour was very slow paced. It was great. You went to every single, tank or vessel or what you got to look at everything. And he went through all of it. And the other cool thing is you got 2 free pitchers of
Yeah.
beer, and it was just me and my oldest son, which was great because we basically got a pitcher each. So, that definitely stood out. The cool thing was right next door to them is a distillery, and that distillery at that time, of course, it's not anymore because they got too big, but they were doing the guy from Moonshiners, Tim, and his
Mhm.
partner was it Pickle, I think his name was, or Tickle. So he
Yeah.
was making his peach uh moonshine there. So I got to taste that before it actually, like, I think it was on the shelves, but it wasn't really distributed very far. So it was kind of cool to go to a place that was actually, like, kind of like you said earlier, that was making other people's beverages because they did their own whiskeys, and stuff like that, but they were contracted to make Tim's version of the peach moonshine or whatever, which was phenomenal. That was such a very good, and I think actually I don't see it anymore. I haven't seen it in years. Actually, it's been a while. Because I know they all merged, they all became Sugarland. Sugarland does their own stuff now as well, and that's a whole interesting world. If you ever get a chance to come down to Pigeon Forge, or even actually no, you want to go to Gatlinburg. In Gatlinburg, you can do a bunch of different distillery tours. So you got Old Smoky, which is native to Tennessee. Sugarland, I can't remember exactly where they're out of, but you get to do their tour. Um, Jim Beam was there. The bunch of cideries there. So like Gatlinburg has turned into a tasting room. Again, in the past 20 years, there was no tasting rooms. There was like bars, restaurants, and that was it. Now there's tasting rooms everywhere. So if you're
Nice.
into something, they got it.
Love it. Love
It's
it.
a great place to go too, especially since you said you have a younger child. Pigeon Forge is like